Well, hello everyone, I am Matt Williamson, and in honor of Jason Kelce's retirement, I know this is a Steelers show, but I'm just looking for any excuse to talk O-line from the Combine, to be honest with you. But Kelce, I really do think is, frankly, an all-time great. I mean, I think he's a Webster-Dawson level all-time center, and Dawson's number one for me. Don't worry, don't go crazy. But, just a great career has come to an end. And it brings me to these offensive linemen. So I'm going to bury the lead here for a second. But just because of the Kelce stuff, Kelce has the all-time greatest short shuttle, the 20-yard shuttle in Combine history. He ran in the 4.1s, which is ludicrous, to be honest with you, is ludicrous. I mean, it's kind of the same as the 40 time that we talked about yesterday. I mean, it's an all-time great, but it brought me up to looking at these short shuttles, and short shuttle times are one of the most indicative for O-line success. And if you think about it, you're often redirecting, recovering, trying to hit a lesser person in space. You have to change directions laterally with explosion, and nobody was better at it than Kelce. But this class had, if you're under 4.5 flat for a short shuttle as a 300-pound man, that is rare. And this class had 5 of them that were under 4.5, as well as a whole bunch of them that are right in the 4.5s, which is bonkers, including Joe Alt, who's going to be the first offensive lineman off the board, who's almost 6'9". I mean, you got to get low. So, just because I keep bringing up Kelce, and bear with me, I'm just kind of stretching this here. But I did find, watching this Combine, that I originally thought there were 3 starting centers, and I still do think that. I mean, Powers Johnson looks like a stud, somebody you consider a 20 for the Steelers. Graham Barton from Duke plays multiple positions, but is projected to center. I'm not taking him at 20. He's not going to be there at 50-ish, and I think the same is true with Frazier. I don't think from West Virginia. I don't think he will last as a Steelers second-round pick. Therefore, I've been telling you, and I'm still on this train, that I would look to sign a center in free agency, just because I don't want to be stuck on those guys. But back to the Kelce stuff, and back to the short shuttles, and the overall athleticism of this group in Indianapolis. There were a lot of day 3 centers that I think that have a chance, that are athletes, they're on the move guys, Arthur Smith types, to be honest with you. He's looking for agile, mobile centers for his outside zone stuff and just his run schemes in general. He doesn't need massive power at that position. So I'm not suggesting you just settle, for the 5th round center, but there are names on day 3 that I like, and one of them is Bortolini from, he just blew up. I mean, from Wisconsin. He had the best short shuttle of all of them. He had the best 40 of all of them. And I as much as they're going to know about Wisconsin kids, I would think he could be in the mix. Again, I'm talking like round 4 or later on some of these guys. So again, I don't want to bury the lead and just have a whole podcast about Jason Kelce and, late round centers. I mean, that's not what I'm here to do. But let me tell you a little bit about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends, you can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs. With in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props, experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices. Head to BetOnline today to become part of the team, and remember to use promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V. Get your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Now, let's talk about the big dogs here, to be very honest with you, I think, and I've said this in some way, shape, or form to you guys and in all the different media outlets I do, especially local, that I think all of us, and this is a good thing, folks, should look at the Steelers' offseason through the lens that the 20th pick in the draft is going to be an offensive tackle. Because as Coach Tomlin says, when they give you red paint, you paint the barn red. And rarely do you see a group of tackles, this might be the best one I've ever seen, come into the league like the ones we have this year. And I think it's crazy not to do everything possible to take advantage of that, because there will be 1 to 20. I mean, there's going to be 4 quarterbacks off the board, at least 3 receivers, Brock Bowers, couple of the edge guys, and there's 7 or 8 offensive tackles that would fit the bill, and probably 6 that I would gladly take at 20. So please, and I might change my tune as I learn more, and obviously free agency will impact this, but I think you use free agency to set yourself up to take the red paint, to take one of these guys. Broderick Jones was a really good prospect. Paris Johnson was a really good prospect. Darnell Wright, who went to the Bears last year, was a really good prospect. But those 3, with all respect to them, would just be one of these guys. There's 6 or so of these dudes this year that are at least that good. So instead of trading up a couple spots to get a Broderick Jones, sit at 20 and take his bookend and maybe have him for 10 years and just be in an enviable situation. So that's one thing that I really noticed. And I want to talk about those names in particular, just in case you aren't aware. But another thing that just really stood out to me with this combine, really 2 things, and they go hand in hand, is I talk about this all the time with you guys, that I think a huge problem, a huge discrepancy that the league has right now is defensive linemen are way better, way more talented than offensive linemen. And I believe that to be very, very true. But I also think this class of incoming linemen might be able to narrow that gap slightly. For the first time, maybe that takes a small step, back in the O-line's favor. Because these guys, very few of them are fat guys. I mean, they all can really, really move, and they don't carry their weight poorly. I mean, they're all power forwards. They're 330 pounds with, long arms and athleticism. And it's not just the shuttles and the 40s, all of which are super impressive, but you sit there watching their mirror drills. These guys are so natural, and all the different drills they did on the field. These guys are athletic, sudden, balanced movers that just carry their weight extremely well. I mean, there's just very little in terms of fat guys or guys that just look terrible in their, spandex stuff that they wear. So it goes hand in hand. But these are the tackles you need to know. And Joe Alt's going to be long gone. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. I think he could go as early as 5 overall. But he was almost 6'9", and had a tremendous workout. He probably didn't even have to, but he still had a tremendous workout. Fashanu from Penn State seems to be losing a little bit of luster, but most years he would be the first pick overall in this class without question. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete, very light on his feet. I think they're going to be the top 2. But J.C. Latham from Alabama is a masher. I don't know that he won't go ahead of Fashanu. And he is a sprint to the podium if he's there at 20 for the Steelers. I mean, he's a pure right tackle from Bama that is phenomenal, to be honest with you. So he's pie in the sky a little bit. He's phenomenal. He is such a wide body, so powerful, really good in protection. His eyes aren't great. Sometimes he can not see stunts and things, but so what? They'll learn that stuff. But a lot of these guys have been pure right tackles. That doesn't mean they can't play the left, but I think Jones wants to be a left tackle, and drafting a first-round right tackle makes all the sense in the world. Latham's my favorite of the ones that are in the legit mix. Fuaga from Oregon State is a little bit short-armed, but other than that, it's really, really tough to come up with negatives on this guy. Right tackle, mauler, nasty as could be, really exciting player. Mims from Georgia, got kind of blocked by Jones as well as others, is a rare rare. I can't even stress that enough. Body type and physical specimen, height, speed, long arms, power. Just hasn't played a ton of snaps because he went to Georgia. And Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma is also similar. Both these schools had two pretty highly drafted offensive tackles last year, so it wasn't like he couldn't get on the field, at Toledo. But Guyton really looks the part too. I would be very fine with him at 20. And the last one to talk about is potential first round Steeler tackles. And day 2's okay, but these guys I'm talking about are special potential Pro Bowl type guys, Broderick Jones level players. And I didn't include Fatanu from Washington on that list until the combine. He looked like a Skoronski from last year, shorter armed, not, prototypical tackle size. And he's not 6'6". He doesn't look like Mims, but he has much longer arms than I thought. And I think he could absolutely get away and thrive as the Steelers' right tackle. And he is a phenomenal, technician. He has a great playing temperament. You guys would love him. So that's one more name that I didn't really consider at 20 that now I'm very comfortable with. So what was that? 6 or 7 names of Broderick Jones level prospects that you can get at 20 and just kind of relax. And frankly, you might even be able to trade down to 23 or 24 and get one of them. If 2 or 3 of them are on the board at 20, I'd be all ears for just moving down and taking whichever one's there and pick up an extra 3rd round pick. So I think this draft sets up really well for the Steelers. Those are the names to know for me. I do think one of them, I don't have any inside scoop on this, but I do think one of them will be the Steelers' 1st round pick. I want you guys to start looking at the offseason, the entire offseason, through that lens that maybe you have to sign a center and then draft the tackle. Day 2 will probably be your corner, wide receiver, which is a deep, spot for those guys too. But the whole key to me is taking one of these tackles that are just rare players and letting all the chips fall from there and set yourself up to do it. And boy, these guys are enticing. All right, take care.